Okay, so we're going to start a new project and create this tiny house, we're calling it. And so you can see the drawings there, and let's bring up the photo there as well of the front of the building. And so, starting from scratch in Revit, under projects there, I'm just going to make sure we go to the architectural template. So you should always be using that to start, unless you have your own template, which of course you can use. But again, if you're not sure, always use the architectural template. Don't use the construction template, and definitely do not use the structural or mechanical. So always architectural if you're not sure. And I'll show you, if you need to go to the menu, you can always go onto File, and then go to New, and then Project. And then you can choose architectural template from the list there as well. That works the same. It's really important that you start in that way. Now have the architectural template, click OK, and then to double check that you've used the right template, it should say ground floor as the starting view in your project browser. If it says level 1, start again, which means you've got the wrong template. So now I want to set out my property line from the very beginning, so I know how big my property is. And so you find that tool under Massing and Site, and then you'll see property line. Okay, so I'm just going to click there, and then you'll see it gives you an option to either create by entering distances and bearings or create by sketching. Always in Australia, and in fact every country pretty much except America, you should use create by sketching. The bearings don't work for us because we take the bearings generally from magnetic north, and that's pretty standard around the world actually. So these bearings are from true north, and we don't want that. So always create by sketching, and choosing that option is actually much easier as well, because we can then just draw using the shape drawing tools that you have in the draw panel here, which you'd all be used to from the other things you've made in Revit, making floors and a lot of the other objects you've created. You have these same drawing tools. So make sure that's clear that you have the draw panel there, where you can choose different shapes. But here I'm just going to make sure it's on the line option. And I'm going to click a start point just below my section line. And then I'm going to take it up and type in 3750, enter, and I've drawn my first boundary. Now I'm going to come across to the right and type in 20510, enter, and then come down again 3750, enter, and then back to the start and just click on that endpoint to finish my boundary. So that's done, but I might just cancel, so I'm going to right click and choose cancel twice. You can also press escape twice just to finish drawing lines. And then I'm going to select all of those lines with a window, and then use the arrow key on the keyboard just to nudge that rectangle so that it's centered between all of my views. So these 4 arrows are my north, south, east and west elevations, and then that line going through the middle with the arrow at the end is of course our section line. And so by centering the property inside those arrows, that means when I go to work in those views later on, my building's already going to be in the centre. And particularly it's important for the section, because when we go to work with that section, we want to be able to see it cutting through the things we made. So that's always a good tip. Try and centre your projects within those views. And so then I'll finish that. And then you see it shows us the dashed line, which is standard for property boundaries. And so next, I just want to then make my site, the ground surface. And so I'm going to, again, just go to topo surface. So this is one you've done before, under massive and site. Okay, and so then you can see it's come up with a message telling me that topographic elements are not visible in your current view. And that's because I'm in the ground floor plan. That's fine, I know that. So I'm going to close this warning and then double click on site. And then to go back and continue placing points, I'm going to choose place point on the ribbon there. And then I'm just going to click 4 points outside of those elevation markers. So I've zoomed out a bit so that I can see all those 4 arrows, and then just going up to the left of those, and then over up and to the right. Then now when I click the 3rd point down and to the right, it's going to join the dots. And when I click a final point down to the left, don't worry if it's not a perfect rectangle. It doesn't matter, you're not going to see the edge of this site. So then I'll finish it, and I've made my ground surface. You probably all realise that the ground does slope, but we don't really need to show that in this project. Later, if we get time, we maybe can look at how we can slope the site. We can always change it. But for now, what this gives us, if we go to an elevation, you can see we've got a nice ground line there with the hatch underneath it. I'll just open up east so you can see in the section as well, we'll have the same thing. So that's the main purpose of that ground surface, so that we have that ground line, which is our base. And I'll go to open up a 3D view as well, just clicking on the house icon at the top. And we can see the ground there as well. But in this view at the moment, it's not cut, so it's just a flat surface. Just orbiting there so that you can see it's flat. We will cut it later, and then you'll see it does have an earth hatch as well in this view, but for the time being we just need to see it as a flat surface like that, and that's fine. And notice that you can't see the property line in the 3D view. But in the plan view you will, so in the ground floor plan we can't see the site, but we can see the property line, but in the site floor plan we can see it all. So I'll give you some time to try that, and then we can move on and start to set out the walls.